Hello, everybody. Hope you weren't waiting long. I was threading up a film on the scanner. I'm Skip Alzheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime streaming show, where we watch old 16 millimeter films and kind of think about them. This last film was silent, and it was from Germany from the 30s. So, it was steeped in National Socialism during that time. Monkeys. Nazi Germany educational films. We got them. We got Russian ones as well. Let's see. Let's watch a film with some narration about animals and some great music. At one point, it kind of ramps up the music. This is Animal Homes. Enjoy.
This and this is a home. And this is a home. Wherever you go in the wide world, you know that there are many animals about you. Sometimes you can see them. Sometimes you can't. Many will hide from you because they're afraid you might hurt them. And they build their homes where they'll be hidden, or where enemies will have a hard time reaching them. The cliff swallows build nests high out of reach under an overhanging rocky ledge. They gather mud in their beaks and fly back with it to make their homes. High on a cliff, they can raise their families safe from the weather above and from danger below. Each kind of bird has its own way of protecting its nest. Some, like the red-winged blackbird, make their homes beside a pond where they'll be hidden in the tall reeds. Many birds build their nests in the branches of a tree. Some nest on the ground. And some are even able to make a hole in a tree trunk. The reason for the nest is the same: to have a home, to raise a family. And all families are the same. They have big appetites. It's hard to believe that in only 4 weeks, these scrawny little birds will be big enough to fly out into the big world. They won't need a home for another year, when they'll build nests to raise families of their own. What other reasons are there for having a home? Have you ever stopped to think what ants use their home for? Well, for one thing, they use it as a place to store food. These worker ants are taking seeds down into their underground storerooms. Ants live together, sometimes many thousands in one colony. Down in their long underground tunnels, they're safe from their enemies. Here are ants working to make the tunnels longer. And way up at the top of the picture is another ant who's trying to move a big pebble. Each ant in the colony has its own job. These are the nurses that take care of the young ones. The babies are white at this stage. They can't move or take care of themselves. Does it seem to you that ants build a good, safe place to raise their young and store food and live their lives? Many kinds of spiders build homes. You've all seen big round spider webs, but here's a different kind, one with a tunnel to hide in. The spider spins a flat web out in front of the tunnel to trap food. Spiders are helpful because they kill so many of the insects that bother us. Close by, this spider has built another web where she's laid her eggs. After the baby spiders hatch, the web is their home until they're big enough to build their own. We've all seen homes built by spiders and ants and birds, but not many of us know about a gallfly's home. Out in the woods, you may have seen strange round things on trees or bushes. These grow wherever the gallfly lays an egg in the bark. When the egg hatches, the young one has a fine home to grow in, complete with food and protection from its enemies. When it's grown to the right size, it makes a hole and crawls out to live the rest of its life. Who do you think this is making a tunnel just under the surface? Here he is, a mole. You won't often see a mole. Most kinds live underground all their lives and can't even see if they're brought out into the light. Look at those short, strong front legs that he uses for digging, and that long, sharp nose that tells him where his breakfast is. He'd much rather get back to his home underground. Watch how fast he can dig. A great many animals make their homes underground. Here's another fellow, a gopher. He builds a bigger tunnel than the mole does, so he has to push some of the dirt up to the surface. Watch how he pushes with his chest and front legs. A gopher never goes far from his tunnel, even to look for food. When he runs out of food in one place, he digs underground to another place. This way, he may dig a tunnel a mile long in a year. That's a long home, isn't it? For some animals, a tree is a favorite place to live. An old hollow tree is a home ready-made to move in and start housekeeping. That scraggly-looking creature is a mother possum. She's carrying something on her back. Do you know what it is? It's her family of young possums. Riding on Mother is rough going. A fella has to hang on tight if he doesn't want to get tossed off. Why do you suppose a mother possum puts up with this? Well, when you were a baby, your mother used to take you with her when she left the house. A mother possum doesn't leave her babies home alone either. She takes them along even though they grab hold with all four paws and their teeth. Hang on now. They made it. Home again. Here's another mother doing what mothers so often do, making the bed and tidying up around the home. This animal is called a coatimundi, coati for short. Like other mothers, she has young ones that sometimes interfere with the housework. Does anything like this ever happen around your home? It's fun to play, but it's good to have a home to go to when the play is over. Would you like to learn more about the way animals live? Do you know whether bears have homes? Would you be surprised to find out that deer and many other animals have no homes at all? And what about fish? Do they have homes? Do you know how bees live? What do you know about rabbits and squirrels and mice? Where does the coyote go when he's tracked down his dinner? And where does the mountain lion go when he's finished his? You'll want to know more about a home and what it means. Without a home, many could not live at all. A home is a safe place and a good place.
Churchill Wexler. Yeah, they use some interesting library production music there to kind of jazz it up a little bit. Churchill Wexler did, of course, one of my favorite films, Squeak the Squirrel. So they and I met one of the Wexler sons, and he said that he kept Squeak as a pet. So there you go. Okay, so I'm a big fan of showing a film that talks about film, that's not about filmmaking. So, like, we watched Growing, which had the kids made a film in the film about gardens and growing plants and things like that. This one is interesting. It is paragraphs, like scenes in a film. So it's using the idea of scenes in a film to relay some sort of thing about English grammar. Let's see how successful they are. Enjoy.
A sentence is a thought. Complete, neat. I can do that in nothing flat. But a paragraph, good golly, should I even try one? 'Twould be pure folly.
Not true, my dear, not true. That attitude won't do.
No, really, I can't paragraph. I'm afraid I don't know how.
It's easy, my dear. In fact, we're doing it now.
Paragraphing?
Sure. It's a paragraph when you speak, it's another when I do it. Show a change or a new idea, that's all there is to it.
You mean each new paragraph shows a change in point of view?
Or a change in mood or place or action, that's exactly what they do.
Is that right?
My dear, why are you laughing?
Because, good golly, I'm paragraphing.
I think she's got it.
I'm a filmmaker, so in talking about writing paragraphs, I'm going to use the tools of my trade, because I think that writing and filmmaking are two ways of doing the same thing. Here, the camera and the sound recorder become our pens and typewriters. We use them to communicate to others what we want them to know. Isn't that also what we do in writing? Stay sharp now and join me in a visual experiment.
A composition may have one or any number of paragraphs. Each paragraph should contain one main idea. Generally, a paragraph consists of the main topic sentence, followed by supporting sentences, and ending with a concluding sentence. This fussing is getting very distracting.
All right. Everybody off. Let's shoot the scene. Do you know your place in the script?
Yes, I am to do the third paragraph.
You mean the third scene?
Yes.
All right. Roll the sound. Rolling.
Camera. Mark it.
Take 1, paragraph 3. Scene 3.
When that scene has been shot and the film developed, it'll go on the rack with dozens of other scenes. They're like the paragraphs that make up a composition. In the cutting room, a film editor will cut each scene to the desired length, then splice it to the next scene. The effect, when viewed, is called a direct cut, because watch, you see the first scene, then we pass the splice. The film cuts directly to the next scene. Films are planned that way. Look at this script for a film. Do you see how the writer has divided the script into scenes or main ideas? Compare it to this composition. Do you see similar divisions in the composition? Are not the paragraphs simply another way of dividing the presentation into main ideas? Editor, direct cut to me, please. Thank you. I finished showing you the papers, then I wanted to go on to another idea. So, I cut to this scene of me speaking. If you were writing this and wanted to go from one scene, one paragraph to another, what is the first thing you would do? You would begin a new line with an indentation. You would indent. You see, each indentation is a signal that we are cutting to another idea. Indent. Now that we know what filmmakers mean by a cut, let's stop using that word. Instead, let's just say indent. If you agree we can do that, then we'll just go on. End of paragraph. Indent? In a nearby room, a camera mounted on an animation stand brings cartoon characters to life. The artwork is placed on the table. No, wait. Instead of going on, let me ask you this. When I said indent, did you know we were coming here? No. Indent told you we were going on to the next idea, but that's all. You didn't know the next paragraph would bring us to the animation area until I showed you. But what if I couldn't show you with this picture? What if this scene were blank? Then how would you know what the next paragraph is to be about? In a nearby room, a camera mounted on the animation stand brings cartoon characters to life. Without pictures, how did you know that the topic of this paragraph would be the animation stand? Simple. I told you. You heard me introduce the scene with a sentence that told you what the topic would be. It works the same way in writing. When you go to a new paragraph, use a topic sentence to let the reader know what the next main idea is about. In modern writing, a topic sentence is not always necessary. But while learning paragraphs, let's stick with one plan for a while. Generally, a paragraph consists of a topic sentence that establishes the main idea, supporting sentences that elaborate on the main topic, and a concluding sentence. The key to writing paragraphs is the topic sentence. To demonstrate, I'm going to show you 3 scenes or 3 paragraphs without topic sentences. We will use nothing but supporting sentences. Each time we indent for a new paragraph, you'll hear this little chime. Ready? 3 paragraphs without topic sentences.
It consisted of a circular stone bench supported by columns of brick, surrounded by bare concrete walls. There, in the cool silence, I waited. My hair was grayer now, and I had lost weight. Quite possibly, even those who had known me well would no longer recognize me. I knew it might be imagination and that I was leaping to conclusions, but I was anxious nonetheless.
Did you sense that something was missing? I felt the need to know where he was, what he was doing there. What did his hair turning gray have to do with anything? What is it that he thought might only be his imagination? With supporting sentences only, we're disoriented. Let's do those 3 paragraphs again, but this time we'll introduce each with a topic sentence and see what happens.
Week after week, I remained alone in the bomb shelter. It consisted of a circular stone bench supported by columns of brick, surrounded by bare concrete walls. There, in the cool silence, I waited. The long period underground had played havoc with my appearance. My hair was grayer now, and I had lost weight. Quite possibly those who had known me well would no longer recognize me. I stayed there because of a dream, which I interpreted as foretelling the destruction of the world above. I knew it might be imagination, and that I was leaping to conclusions, but I was anxious nonetheless.
I wish we could go on. I was just getting into the story. Notice something interesting. The supporting sentences alone didn't carry the story, but the 3 topic sentences alone did tell the main points of the story thus far. For weeks, he'd been in a bomb shelter. It had changed his appearance, and he'd isolated himself there because of a dream. Those were the main points the writer wanted to make. In fact, the topic sentence is so important that it controls the entire meaning of the paragraphs. Let me show you. We'll use the same supporting sentences as we used before, but this time we'll use different topic sentences.
I entered the underground passageway between university buildings where I had agreed to meet Janet in the first lounge area. It consisted of a circular stone bench supported by columns of brick, surrounded by bare concrete walls. There, in the cool silence, I waited. Janet was to introduce me at the English Forum, where the audience would include faculty members under whom I had once studied. My hair was grayer now, and I had lost weight. Quite possibly, even those who had known me well would no longer recognize me. After waiting impatiently for 15 minutes, I was convinced she had forgotten all about me. I knew it might be imagination and that I was leaping to conclusions, but I was anxious nonetheless.
What a change! Amazing how important the topic sentence is to a paragraph. Topic sentences can be dull, or they can be lively and attention-getting. Here's a dull one. Margie Davis was a good basketball player. What kind of a picture does that give us? Margie Davis was a good basketball player. It's a topic sentence, but it's passive in general. Here's the same point stated with more verve. As a basketball player, Margie Davis had the dazzling moves that left her opponents standing flat-footed, waving their arms in the air. It tells the same thing, but what a different picture it gives us. After that, I'd like to know more about Margie's prowess. Once we've introduced the main point, how can we create more sentences to support it? Well, we could make comparisons. Compare Margie to another great player. We could use examples. Tell them outstanding plays she made that won a particular game. We could support the topic sentence with details about her dribbling, passing, or shooting skills. With supporting sentences, you can develop the paragraph any way you choose, just so they all relate to the main topic. Concluding sentence. Seems obvious. It's the last sentence in the paragraph. Is it important? You decide.
Auditions are nerve-wracking. You stand on stage alone, reading unfamiliar lines, and have only minutes to prove you're an actress. That's all I have to say on the subject.
What?
That's all I have to say on the subject.
Then why did you begin? I'd be more impressed if you clinched that paragraph with a concluding statement.
Auditions are nerve-wracking. You stand on stage alone, reading unfamiliar lines, and have only minutes to prove you're an actress. I hate auditions. Except when I get the part.
Especially when you're doing only one paragraph, a clinching or summing up sentence can bring it to a satisfying close. Sometimes in longer pieces, we don't want every paragraph to come to a strong ending. I'll demonstrate. I'm going to show you 2 film scenes. When we cut from the first one to the second one, you may feel that there's something missing. See if you can detect it.
The morning was sunny and cool, perfect for a hike in the country. Breathing the crisp air, I felt as if I could walk 20 miles. Wonder where I put my socks.
Did those 2 scenes or paragraphs go together? No, they didn't seem to, did they? Yet, that was the way the writer intended them. See, he has one paragraph for the youth hiking, the next paragraph about the bedroom. Oh, wait a minute. We left out a line of his narration. He actually ended the first paragraph with a line that led to the next one. Let's see if putting that closing sentence in the first paragraph helps.
The morning was sunny and cool, perfect for a hike in the country. Breathing the crisp air, I felt as if I could walk 20 miles. That was surprising when I remembered the trouble I'd had getting out of bed just 1 hour ago. Wonder where I put my socks.
Did you hear how that concluding statement in the first scene prepared us for the next one? In adventure stories, you'll often find that type of concluding sentence. It keeps us reading on from one paragraph to the next. I have a small confession to make. In films, sometimes we cut or change scenes before we've finished with one idea. We do it so that one scene doesn't run on for so long we get tired of looking at it. Writers often do the same thing. A paragraph that goes on and on for a page or more looks unappealing. So, even if a writer is dealing with only one main idea, he or she will often subdivide it into paragraphs to attract readers. You should be aware of that, but until you become expert, concentrate on the 5 points we've stressed. Like a film scene, each paragraph contains one main idea. We indent to show we are cutting from one scene or idea to the next. A topic sentence expresses the main idea in a paragraph. Supporting sentences add details. And the concluding sentence clinches the main idea or leads us into the next paragraph.
I think you've got it.
Well, yeah, W.C. Fields. I knew who W.C. Fields was because at the time when I was a kid, Fritos had a mascot that was named W.C. Fritos. And I was a member of the W.C. Fritos fan club. So I would get stickers and posters related to W.C. Fritos. But that's the only reason I knew who it was at the time. Then eventually I saw some of W.C. Fields' films. So, I don't know. Is it still relevant? I think that there were still people imitating W.C. Fields in the 70s and maybe into the 80s. All right, what do we got? I have a film on the scanner. Christmas customs near and far. Enjoy.
Angels sing. beautiful, children, just beautiful. Your caroling is going to add a great deal to our Christmas pageant.
Who else is in the pageant, Mrs. White?
Oh, a great many people. You see, different groups of children whose parents came here from other countries are going to show us some of the ways Christmas is celebrated in other lands and where some of our Christmas customs and traditions come from.
Like where the idea of the Christmas tree comes from?
That's right.
And the star on top. That's the Star of Bethlehem, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It stands for the star that guided the wise men to the stable where Jesus was born.
Who invented the Christmas tree?
Well, why don't you all sit down and rest for a while, and I'll tell you all about it. The Christmas tree has a long, long history. And there's an old, old story that on the night of Jesus' birth, all the evergreen trees burst forth into radiant blossoms. That was their way of singing glory to the newborn king. And they say that that was the only time the evergreen trees ever had blossoms. The first Christmas trees we know about were in Germany. And in Germany, Christmas is called Weihnachten.
Weihnachten?
That's right. And a little later, we'll see a German Christmas tree in our pageant. But right now, let's pretend this is a magic ball. And if we stare at it very hard, we will see a group of German children playing one of their favorite games until... Yes, here's the Christmas tree, and everyone will help decorate it. Trees were first decorated with apples and paper flowers and gilded nuts. But now the German people use all sorts of gay ornaments, just as we do. And cookies made of sugar and spice, cut in every manner of shape and design. At Christmas time, German houses are sweet with the smell of wonderful Christmas cakes with wonderful names. Springerlein, Lebkuchen, Pfeffernüsse. Round the Christmas tree, German families often sing an old song called O Tannenbaum. We know it with these words. O Christmas tree, how lovely are thy branches. The Star of Bethlehem also crowns the Christmas tree of Sweden, called the Yule crown. In our pageant, a family of Swedish origin will show us how the Christmas season in Sweden begins on December 13th, on Luciadagen, which means St. Lucia's Day. St. Lucia wears a crown of evergreen branches and candles, which are symbols of Christmas the world around. The evergreen stands for the everlasting gift of life brought by Christ, and the candle stands for our faith in him. Since ancient times, long before Christ was born, there have been feasts and celebrations at this time of year called Yuletide, which means turning time, the time when the days start growing longer. From such ancient tradition comes the celebration in honor of St. Lucia, who symbolizes the light of the Christmas season with its renewal of faith, hope, and love. Now the Christmas tree has come to the United States, along with the custom of giving gifts, gifts that tell people we love them. And the children, if they're good boys and girls, and they are all sure they're good, hang up their stockings from the mantle, or somewhere else if they have no mantle. And when the children are in bed, Santa Claus! Santa Claus has a long history, too. A man named St. Nicholas actually lived 1,600 years ago. He was a bishop of the Christian church in Asia Minor, and he was very generous, giving gifts and money to people in need. Many people believed that he dropped purses of money down the chimney, so they hung up stockings to catch them. Saint Nicholas became the patron saint of children. The Dutch people pronounced his name Saint Nicolaas, and this was the name they brought with them when they settled in New York. And here, the name became Santa Claus. Santa Claus is part of the fun of Christmas, for Christmas is a happy time of the year.
Yes.
And we express our happiness in many ways. We decorate our homes to say Merry Christmas to everyone passing by. Our stores are decorated with the familiar Christmas scenes so that even in the hustle and bustle of our Christmas shopping, we can remember the real joy of that first Christmas long ago. At school, we're busy making Christmas cards, continuing a custom that began 100 years ago when an artist in England decorated the holiday letters he was sending his friends. Christmas is a time for thinking of others. It brings us real happiness to share our food and toys with people less fortunate than we. At church school, we may decorate a mitten tree with mittens the girls and boys have brought to send to children in foreign lands. And there are many other ways, as churches and as families, that we share our Christmas joy with people all around the world. Just as people all over the world have shared their wonderful Christmas customs with us, for the celebration of Christmas is much the same everywhere, but of course there are differences. Did you know that in Mexico they don't have Christmas trees?
They don't.
They don't. They have La Piñata. We'll see one in our pageant. La Piñata is a gaily decorated device that's made in all sorts of shapes. Can you guess what's hidden inside? A big pottery jar filled with candies and toys. On Christmas Eve, the children take turns trying to break it open. 3 tries, and Rosa didn't hit it. Maybe Manuel will be the one to break it. Ole, ole, hurrah! And how the children scramble for the toys that fall from the piñata. The piñata, which is the Christmas tree of Mexico.
I think that'd be fun, but I'd still rather have a Christmas tree and the manger scene with the baby Jesus.
Yes, that is an important part of our Christmas. Our Christmas tree comes to us from the north of Europe, and our Christmas crib from the south of Europe, particularly Italy, where it is called a presepio. Each member of the family helps build it and make the figures of the shepherds and wise men, the animals and Joseph and Mary, and the bambino, the baby Jesus. It was in Italy 750 years ago that St. Francis of Assisi made the first scene of the Nativity, and standing around it, his followers sang the first Christmas carols. Traditional Italian dances are performed by groups who go from house to house, singing and dancing and asking for food and money and candy, which they will distribute among children less fortunate. Yes, joy is everywhere at Christmas. And so our pageant is to show us some of the joyous customs and traditions which have come to us from other lands. But that's not all, for as Christianity has spread throughout the world, so has the celebration of Christmas. And so the last scene in our pageant will give us a picture of Christmas far away in China. In China, Christmas is called Shundanjia, which means the Holy Birth Festival. And this is how Chinese children present the story of the Holy Birth. Here are the shepherds who heard the good tidings of great joy about the birth of Christ and journeyed to Bethlehem to honor the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes lying in a manger. Here is the first of the three kings, the wise men who saw the star in the east and followed it, as the Bible tells us, till it came and stood over where the young child was. And when the wise men saw the young child with Mary, his mother, they fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. As these children present the story of the Nativity, just as it is presented in our own country and throughout the world, we see in the celebration of Christmas that all people, everywhere, are children of God. Whether we carry a lantern or a candle as a symbol of our faith, we are joining with our brothers around the world when we rejoice in the miracle of Christmas.
So, obviously, at some point, they stopped showing this film in schools. But there's a lot of films that talk about God, and certainly the Moody Institute of Science films talk about God. And the idea was like, well, you're not talking about Protestants or Catholics or you know, everybody in the United States believes in God, right? You know, thinking about Protestants, Catholics, and Jews, they all believe in God, so we're cool to talk about God, right? But yeah, this one is fascinating stretch. Thank you, Santa's Boot, for the $10 donation and the mention of. I'm gonna pronounce this wrong because it's in Catalan. The Kajener, or Kajener. Interesting story. So for a while, I have like a couple of Santa suits, and I used to dress as Santa at inappropriate times and in inappropriate places. Then when I discovered Krampus, and this was long before the Krampus movies came out and all this, I started dressing as Krampus at inappropriate times and in inappropriate places. I decided, like, okay, well, Krampus is popular now, so I don't need to dress as Krampus anymore. And I'm like, well, what other Christmas thing could I dress up as? And I discovered the Kajener, or Kajener, which is a little guy who's in the Catalan nativity scene, who's back in a corner pooping. He's got his pants down, and he is pooping. And I was like, this is amazing. And I was like, that's what I'm going to dress up as for Christmas and go to Christmas parties as the Kahner. And I have a friend at the Science Museum who is of Spanish origin, and he went to visit his family over the holidays. And I said, could you? And he actually is from Catalan. So I was like, can you get me a Kahner, like, little nativity? And it's amazing. He got me one, and it looks just like a beautifully well-crafted, like wood-crafted thing that you would put in your nativity scene. So I'm going to sneak in with my parents, I'm guessing, at some point. All right. What do we got? What time is it? All right. Let's see. This might... what do I want to do? Okay. So many things to show you. Constantly showing you films. Where is it? Okay. So it looks like Found Footage Festival made their choices for the toe tapping toenament. They borrowed pretty heavily from some TV jingles. I just want to put them forward. The ones that I have on film, I have some commercials that have jingles. I just want to see if any of them resonate with you. So here's some potential TV commercial jingle candidates, just to kind of see. All right, let's figure this out. Enjoy.
Pepsi Cola's value pack with the handy reseal cap. Every serving that you pour costs a nickel, not a penny more.
Pepsi Cola Value Pack. 8 16-ounce returnable bottles that pour Pepsi quality at economy prices. At least a 5-ounce serving for a nickel. The Value Pack. A gallon of Pepsi in 8 returnable bottles with resealable caps to help lock in that great Pepsi taste. The Value Pack. One more way to say Pepsi's got a lot to give.
It's a good life.
I had some people in for tea, somehow forgot the crumpets. But 7-Eleven saved the day. They welcomed me with trumpets.
Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven. Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven. Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven. Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven.
Had people over after church, including the Reverend McClellan. But 7-Eleven saved the day with an ice-cold watermelon.
Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven. Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven. Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven.
I've discovered Landshire deli-type frozen sandwiches. Have you?
Landshire sandwiches are made with Cry fine meats and quality cheeses on special buns and rolls baked by Landshire.
They're a snack or a meal or a great sack lunch.
Nike, Ranch Wagon, Ham and Cheese, Coney Island.
We've got to do it now. We can't go on forever. Fouling up the streams, the rivers and the sea. You know we've got the power if only we will use it. But if we don't, I see the end of you and me.
So there was the Pepsi commercial, which was actually echoing back to an earlier Pepsi jingle that was a radio jingle, which is super infectious, where they talk about it being a nickel, and it's over the top. It's really good. Then there was the 7-Eleven. Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven. Personally, that resonates with me because it kind of is... It would match up with one of the Found Footage Festival things, the We Are Sears. And also, it's kind of absurd. And I should say there's an interesting backstory. So the guy who's talking about going shopping after church and picking up a watermelon because the preacher's coming over, that kind of ties into the fact that convenience stores were often open on Sundays and were not subject to blue laws, which meant that businesses were not open on Sunday. Like grocery stores pretty much were not open on Sunday because laws said, businesses shouldn't be open on the Lord's Day. And so I think this was kind of jabbing at that a little bit. Let's see what else. The new Seekers. Oh no, the Nike sandwiches. I just threw that in there. The new Seekers. I don't know if that's an actual song that they just happened to use in this thing about litter and cleaning up America. But yeah, in the comments, did any of them resonate with you, or is it just like no, absolutely not? Because I think, yeah. All right, so I'll read the comments when we get back, when we're done with the show, and just kind of see what you think. Because, man, that 7-Eleven one, I got to say, I like that one a lot. Because it's a toe tapper, and it's just ludicrous. But yes, I totally get jingles are too easy. And I appreciate us elevating it. But I want to include one jingle. Can I do that? One jingle. And VDs for Everybody is an amazing jingle, but we had that compete 2 years ago, and it got beat out. I mean, I think I've kind of front-loaded all the real great hits like in that first year because I didn't know if we were going to do it again. So a lot of really great stuff got taken out. So anyways, if there was, pick one jingle that you really liked and put it in the comments. Or if you just think, again, it's really horrible, don't do it, don't go down that path, then I'm okay with that. But thanks everybody for tuning in today. Very much appreciate your comments and your donations and your eyeballs and your ears. If you like what you saw, you could donate like Santa Boot did with the Super Thanks button. You can also go to ko-fi.com/avgeeks or patreon.com/avgeeks. You can also just hit the thumbs up button or watch other films that we have online on our YouTube channel. Those are great ways to support us. So thanks so much. As always, keep me. Please evaluate. That was from Valentine's Day. But yeah, everybody have a great rest of your day, and we'll be back tomorrow. Take care.